I'd never given much thought to how I would die. How morbid. Death always seems to make its way into our art forms, whether it be our literature or theater. So no surprise he'd stick his sickle in the ink and paint department. After all, what would cartoons be without great death scenes, between Disney's deserved demise of their villains or Mortal Kombat's horribly beautiful fatalities? The public domain tapes are no exception, although a bit surprising considering the market is strictly for sticking your kids in front of a television screen without the distributor nor the parents realizing its content. The tapes have their share of deaths, whether it be comical, over the top, or just plain shocking. So today, we'll be counting down the top 5 gruesome deaths in public domain cartoon tapes. Number 5, the Goldbrick episode of Private Snafu. Yes, the How Not To soldier's laziness would constantly get him killed. He was shot, torpedoed, bombed, blown up. He was killed by everything short of a streetcar.
By a streetcar.
Huh. But the one I always noticed was the Goldbrick episode. Encouraged by a villainous voice, he gets himself run over by a tank. So you think he'd be flat or his head would be sticking out of the ground, right? Yipes. I mean, it's not gory, but the sight of the tombstone just leaves chills up your spine. Number 4, the Pincushion Man from Balloon Land. I reviewed this one last season. It's definitely a trip, but worth a viewing. It revolves around a society of balloon people threatened by a monster safety pin. Yes, you've heard that right. When the Pincushion Man attacks Balloon Land, its citizens take him out. Now, let us do a little math. Freddy Krueger killed 4 people in the first Nightmare movie. Pinhead killed 1 in the first Hellraiser, and Jason killed none in the first Friday. That's 5 from the top 80 slasher villains. Now let's count how much this guy kills. There's 1, and there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4. And there's 5, and 6, 7, 8. And this is a 6-minute short. Could you imagine what Sean Cunningham could do in 90 minutes? Also, creative points for how they take this guy out. Firing sap at him and rolling him off a cliff. Original. Number 3, the Jungle Drum episode of Superman. As innovative as the Superman tunes were, they were short and to the point, so you didn't have too much time to waste on showy death scenes. You assume people die in random explosions and disasters, but you don't really see anything. Except in this one episode. It opens with Lois's pilot having a very quick radio show death.
Take these important papers, destroy them.
We also see a spy cracking his head open, but we only see the cliché hand, more famous in Snow White or Peace on Earth. But the most shocking is the ending, when the planes get the spy information and they bomb the Nazi sub. Now, I know they're bad guys, plus we've seen this kind of typical bombing in other shorts before, but in this case, you actually see them drowning.
1 and 2, ready, Herr Kommandant.
Justified? Sure. Horrifying? Darn right. Number 2, the cat from Itch in Time. Okay, this one really shouldn't be on this list. I personally never found it to be gruesome, but its controversy is enough to get it some overrated notoriety, so what the heck. The cat is basically an extra in a cartoon about a pain-in-the-back flea on a dog. With all the ludicrous torment that this poor canine goes through, the cat decides he's seen enough.
Well, now I've seen everything.
Now, we've all seen Archie Bunker and Al Bundy do this, but we are all cartoon characters. Why would we do this when we can do this? The suicide bet was just a side joke, and it was done by everyone from Bugs, Daffy, Goofy, Woody Woodpecker. But this is the only one in public domain. Actually, I recall seeing some of the newer tapes of this getting cut. And this was way before cutting all the racial stuff. Huh, how controversial. Jeremy's spoken. Hey, hey. And the number one, Humpty Dumpty. Okay, you probably think I'm joking, right? Nope, I am dead serious. This adaptation was made in the 1930s by the Flieschers. Now, I personally felt great shorts like Disney's Sleepy Hollow or Chuck Jones's Grinch didn't need to be full length because they mostly get bombarded with unnecessary filler and completely inaccurate character development. Well, how do you do that from a 3-sentence haiku into a 7-minute film? You turn the character into a dick. Dictator. A tyrant. And a greedy one at that. Not satisfied with all of his riches, he becomes convinced that the sun is made of gold and calls all of his servants and peasants, other fairy tale creatures, to build a wall. I guess knowing the outcome, they didn't really want to make him too sympathetic, but check this out. He whips them.
If you value your lives and also your health, do as I bid, for I want more wealth.
Anyway, his wall gets just tall enough, but then he cracks the sun, and it starts shooting fire, and lightning comes out and starts spanking him and pushes him off, and my God, what kind of drugs were they on back then? This is your brain. This is your brain watching this cartoon. Any questions? So here's the traumatizing shot. His slow, prolonged death, falling and falling, and it pays off. Not only do we see him crack to death, but we then see the failed attempt at back together again, with his creepy dying words.
Oh, I tried too high to build my wall, but I was greedy and I had a great fall.
Never since I am still emperor have I ever been this creeped out by dying words. And that's all we have for today. This is Waddle from Watch Waddle saying...